Oh, too late anyway. All right, we gotta go with it. All right, so welcome everybody to the Business Geeks podcast. I am your host, Super Joe Pardo, and I am joined by my awesome two co-hosts over here, Jennifer Crawford of Sparent.co. How you feeling tonight, Jennifer?
I'm good. I'm tired. I've been up since 5 a.m. and I am not in the 5 a.m. club. Not joining. I do not want your membership.
Oh, come on. Getting up early is not so bad. Just gotta do it more often. Just gotta put the reps in.
That's for aliens. No, I usually get up at like 6:30. That's fine. 5 a.m. is silly.
So what is Jennifer saying about us, Joe? What is she saying? She doesn't want to be part of our club.
No.
I'm not even part of the club half the time. I'm trying to be like, it's hard to make it consistent, but I'm trying. I try to get up by between 4 and 5 in the morning.
You guys are in winter. That's hard. I'll give you that. It's hard in winter to get out of bed.
It is. It's still dark out. It's like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Still night.
And I'm also joined by Samantha Riley of SamanthaRiley.global. What's up, Samantha? How you feeling?
I'm feeling so awesome today. It's good to be back here again, geeking out with you guys.
Likewise. Man, it's gonna be a long day.
Wow.
All right. So, and I am Super Joe Pardo, superjoepardo.com. And today we're going to be talking about strategic partnerships to grow your business. So if you have any questions while we're chatting about strategic partnerships, throw that in the Facebook chat if you're watching this live, and if you're not, send us your questions at businessgeekspodcast.com. So who wants to start out this? I know both of you have notes. I came ill prepared, but I did put in a bunch of stuff in the worksheet this week, so I don't feel too bad.
Thanks for your link. You put up the one link.
Yes, I read an article. Hooray.
Yeah, all the heavy lifting there, Joe. All the heavy lifting.
I got a kid in each arm. There's a lot of heavy lifting going on.
You've been up since 5 a.m. I think you'd get more accomplished.
Yes. Yeah, I would think so too.
I'd also like to just small point of clarification. We're not talking about strategic business partnerships. We are geeking out about strategic business partnerships. And the reason we're geeking out is because they are so powerful. They are such an important tool in your arsenal of business growth, and they don't cost you any money. So why aren't you doing it? We're going to find out about this.
Maybe people don't know how to do it. So that's why we're talking about it today, because
scary.
Could not agree more. It is the most powerful business growth strategy, period.
The end. See you next week.
Yeah, thanks. Bye.
Well, why don't we start out what the strategic partnerships look like to begin with? Because it sounds scary, right? Because we as business owners, we like see a lot of people as competition, and I definitely know how Sam feels about it. But it's not a thing. Like, it shouldn't really be a thing.
Yeah, well, let's start with a definition of a strategic partnership. So let's start there. A strategic partnership can be defined as a mutually beneficial contractual alliance between two businesses, and it can give entrepreneurs a competitive edge and help them increase the bottom line in innovative ways.
Wow, there was lots of big words in there.
Well, that's
very geeky.
It's not my definition. On the internet. I
very
would have used much smaller words, but you know. Okay, so yeah, I'm not sure where to start here. I did want to maybe mention an example of a strategic partnership that we might all be familiar with, and it's a strategic brand partnership, and has to do with the cereal that you eat for breakfast and that toy that you find inside. So there's the cereal brand who has partnered with the toy manufacturer who puts the toy in the cereal. So it's giving the customer a little extra delight in their experience eating the cereal. It exposes the toys to more potential customers. And so it's a win-win for everybody, right? It's a win for each brand, and it's a win for the customer. Cool.
We've got an awesome strategic partnership in Sydney, in Australia. The Grounds, which is a like a cafe, but when I say cafe, it's huge. It's got different areas. It's got outdoor areas. It's got halls. It's got restaurants. It's just this massive area, and they've done a strategic partnership with Disney. So every time a new movie comes out, they do an installation, and they completely change this whole area that's the size of a suburb to whatever that Disney movie is. So their Aladdin Disney installation, and I'm talking huge. You walk in and it's all, it's purple, and all the food and the drinks are all inspired by the movie, and everyone's dressed as characters. And it's such a cool strategic partnership, because the Instagram just blows up every time there's a new installation, and it's just so clever.
That is really, it sounds so cool, because it's very experiential, right? It's not just it's not a flat or 1 or 2 dimensional experience. It's a full 3-dimensional experience for those brands. That is really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I would add McDonald's and Burger King, all the toys that they give away, the commercials where they're like, hey, there's this movie coming out, and it's like, but it's really like a Tide commercial, but they're using the characters from the movie or scenes from the movie to promote it. Or even like I've seen even like appliances, like having movie tie-ins and things like that nature, or laptops for that matter. Like when the Spectre came out from the James Bond movie, like HP was all over that. We're going to have, these commercials for a laptop that James Bond is going to use. So yeah, strategic partnerships can be, I guess at that point, like they're sharing the load of the cost of those commercials, I would think, which is a positive, which is positive.
I think that the biggest thing that you need to know before you start these strategic partnerships is who are your ideal clients and who else shares those. Because we've all shared some really big strategic partnerships, and some people that might be watching is like, well, that's really great, but I don't have the budget to be putting in a whole Disney installation or putting out toys in cereal boxes. So I did a strategic partnership with someone at the end of last year that you all know, Brent from Pod It. So Brent has got a platform where you can go and register to get podcast interviews, or reach out to be a guest, or to have guests on your show. Now, my audience all are thought leaders, that they're all increasing their visibility. So being on podcasts, whether it's their own show or other people's shows, is very, very high on their agenda. So I did a strategic partnership with Brent, in that he sponsored one of my 5-day challenges in my Facebook group, and everyone that participated got to go into a draw to win an account on his platform. And that was it didn't cost either of us money, but it was a really great way how we sort of came together and went, how can we work together to put each other in the spotlight?
Oh, that's awesome. I love that. I got really turned on to strategic partnerships with my first business. And again, I didn't call it that. I didn't know that's what it was, but I had a pet sitting and dog walking company. And so the bread and butter of that business was midday dog walks, believe it or not, because it didn't depend on people's vacation schedule. It just depended on people working. So we walked about 300 dogs a day, Monday through Friday. So in one of the ways we got to that many accounts is that I approached apartment buildings that were dog friendly, and I offered them discounted dog walks, because we, could get multiple accounts in one place, and sold the benefit to them very easily, because they didn't want their residences ruined by these dogs who were left home alone all day. So this, would ultimately lower their cost in terms of carpet replacement and board dogs being destructive or barking and disturbing other people. So they were happy to contract with us to provide midday dog walks for their residents, and also gave their residents an extra amenity. So so that was like one of the smartest partnerships that I've ever done, like probably one of the more profitable ones, because it really funneled a lot of business through us. But we also had to really nurture that relationship and take care of it, right? Because we had to make sure that the people that we provided to do those walks were, the best people, and so that we could keep that account and keep that relationship healthy. So but I liked it. I think it's a good example, because if you're out there and you have a service-based business and you're looking to secure more accounts, think of the think of a bigger, like if you're a cleaning company, like maybe there's a relationship that you can establish with some sort of niche group of people. Anyway, so that was probably my very first strategic partnership. And then I've just looked for them. It taught me to look for them along the way in my other businesses.
Nice. Sorry, Joe, you go.
Yeah, I was going to throw my hat in the ring there. I mean, one of the strategic partnerships, I don't know, I guess it's not super direct, but one of the things, so we do at the repair shop, we do work for enterprise and like the car rental, but we on the truck side. So, having working with them like side by side on getting the trucks repaired, like that's, one thing. But I think where the strategic partnership piece comes in is where they have their customers with their trucks that are renting long term come directly to our shop and have an experience with us because of enterprise telling them to go there, versus you drop the truck off at enterprise and enterprise is taking somebody to drop the truck off at us, and then they never actually see us. Like we have quite a few of their customers that come directly to us for their services on enterprise's behalf. So it's one of those things where it's like it doesn't always have to be a super direct thing, but it's the ability to have that trust from a brand that gives you that power.
Yeah,
absolutely. It's that transference of trust that is the power.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's essentially, we talk about sales funnels all the time, and we talk about them in the online space, but these are sales funnels. These are sales funnels. I mean, it's just that you're creating them in a different way, and I would argue a more reliable way.
So for people that are listening, I think that we've already shared quite a few case studies, and we'll share more to really get you thinking outside the square. But I think the very first place to start, and I believe that every business can do strategic partnerships, but the first place to start is think of the people who service your clients or customers before or after you see them. Exactly. So if I was selling wedding dresses, for example, I could think that where would a bride go before or after? There's venue, reception venues. It might be personal trainers, hairdressers, florists. It's thinking about all of the other people that they see in that experience, and how can we go and work with those people to provide a mutual benefit. And I think that's the next piece. There's got to be a win-win situation there. And Jen, you alluded to this before. When we can share the benefits that we're providing that takes away a problem, that's very, very easy to do. So the very first strategic partnership that I did was back when I owned my retail dancewear store. And one of the biggest things I saw in the first few months, and I knew this because I was also a dance teacher, one of the most frustrating things I noticed was that teachers would have their students turn up in all sorts of weird and wonderful and wacky attire that wasn't part of the uniform, or it wasn't conducive to them learning, having the right attire. So what I did was reached out to all the other dance studio owners and said, I know that this is, or is this a problem that you're having? Is it frustrating you that your students are not having their shoes fitted properly, or they're not coming in the correct uniforms? And what we did was we created a sheet for every single teacher on the way that they liked their students' shoes fitted, the color, the style, everything that we possibly could, so that because we took away this problem of them spending time in dance class explaining this, to parents, we took that problem away and said, why don't you just tell your students to come straight to us and we'll do all that for you? So it was knowing who our customers saw before they came to us and what are the benefits that we could provide that strategic partnership that took away a problem for them. So I think that's the very first two things that you really need to notice. And, those benefits, opening up the conversation. What problems do you have and how can I help?
That's so smart. It reminds me of if you go into like a Staples or like an Office Depot right before school starts, they'll hand you like the school supply list for your school and, the shopping list. And so it's easy for the parents, win for the parents. It's a win for the school because the school has students showing up with the things that they need to have an education. And then it's a win for Staples or Office Depot because they are selling those supplies and they're making it easy for the parents to purchase them. So it's kind of the same thing. You were so ahead of your time. So smart.
I was so smart and I didn't even know I was smart. I had no idea that I had a special word. I just did it and went,
I know.
It's
I hate it when I'm smart and I don't realize it until like decades later. And you're like, decades later, I realized I was smart. 20 years ago, I had a moment. Totally missed it. Oops. Well, I have a strategic partnership that is recent in my business, Transference. And what was happening with us, we provide virtual assistant services, as some of you know, but we'd have these overwhelmed business owners who were coming to us just completely overwhelmed, and their systems were kind of a mess to begin with. So we could help them, but it really wasn't in our wheelhouse to kind of reconstruct their systems and processes. But I met Mary Sue, who's often a listener of ours. I met Mary Sue, who has a company called Work Smarter Digital. And that's exactly what she does. She helps businesses turn their manual processes into digital ones. So she helps them automate using digital tools. And she works directly with them to streamline all of their systems. So anyway, we're working with her kind of informally, where we would send clients whose systems were a mess. We'd send them to her first. She'd straighten them out. And then when they did hire us, hire Transference, their Transference hours were used in a much more efficient way. So recently we did something more formalized, where we have a package called a Quick Start, Transference Quick Start, which includes a package of virtual assistant hours, but it also includes a 90-minute intensive with Work Smarter Digital to outline their processes and come up with specific digital tasking for the Transference. So they work with her and they come over and work with us and they get up and running really quickly. So, we're so excited about that because it's the triple win. It's a win for Transference, it's a win for Work Smarter Digital, and most importantly, it's a win for the customer. And so anytime that you can form a triple win as opposed to just a win-win, that gets me excited. I always try to make sure everybody involved is winning.
I think that there's a piece there, though, that maybe people may have even missed, is not only is it a win for you and the customer and Mary Sue's company. I've already forgotten the name of it. I am so sorry.
Work Smarter Digital.
Thank you. Thanks
I love
for
that
filling
name.
in the gaps there.
It tells me exactly.
Right? Why did I forget that? Seriously. I do have smart moments 20 years ago, but not today. But that not only are they winning, are you all winning now, but that's also reducing the churn and increasing customer retention. So that's actually another win again, which is another way to really look at it. It's not just a win for you to get more clients or to get publicity or, visibility, but how can you increase your customer retention, or how can you increase your lifetime customer value? There's so many different ways that you can do these partnerships.
Yeah, I think that's right. And I think the one thing we did right is that we thought of the customer first. We really did not think, oh, how can we make more money? That really wasn't the driving force. We were both Sparent and Work Smarter Digital. When we talked about this partnership, the customer really was in the forefront of that conversation. And I think that's the way it's got to be. You've always got to work in the best interest of your customer and put that first. And then I think the partnership is going to be much more successful.
100%. Lead with value.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. So what when it comes to, let's talk like even smaller partnerships, like looking at like have either of you partnered up with somebody who is your competitor in one way or another? So like an example of this, we do these like DPF cleanings and for these big trucks, and we've done them since it became a thing back in 2008. And we've done, deals with some of our competitors because they didn't have the machinery. It was like a big $40,000, $50,000 layout. And back then there wasn't a whole lot of vehicles that had these filters on the trucks yet. So we did these types of things where we gave like super discounted rates to help, even though it's kind of helping our competitors, but in a way, it's still bringing the business to us. And allowing them to have some kind of level of service as well for them, rather than just turning people away.
Yeah, no, that's a good point, and I like that example.
And there you go, Brent. Keep your enemies closer. Yep, see what you did there, John. Yeah, definitely, right? Because it gives you that opportunity to have those conversations with people that you wouldn't necessarily, right? Take any opportunity you have to turn it into a positive. And open doors that might not be there because you just don't know, even though you might be direct competitors in some way, shape, or form. I mean, a great example of that on a bigger scale is like Apple and Samsung, right? Competing on phones like no tomorrow. But there's parts that are Samsung parts in the Apple phones, so it's a thing that it exists in on a greater scale, and you just have to realize that, like, even in your microcosm of a community or maybe bigger than a community, you have to be able to work together. I mean, we've done things where we've done like big buy-ins and stuff like that for like trailer loads of parts. Where we instead of us just buying the whole trailer load because we couldn't use the whole trailer load, we used the discount and then distributed the parts out of that trailer load to other people in our buying group and things of that nature. So they might not be like right in our backyard, but they might be in the East Coast where it's easy to get break that trailer load up and get it delivered.
Well, speaking of East Coast, Joe.
Yes.
We could argue that we are competitors because we both produce a podcasting conference that happens in the fall. We're only a couple hours apart. Our audiences are similar.
A couple of months apart too, because you're like end of October, beginning of November, and
2 months, 2 hours apart.
September.
Yeah. So I guess we could easily have become frenemies, Brent. Like, I'll use your hashtag there. But I've never personally felt that way. You're one of the first people I reached out to when I started my conference because I had no idea what I was doing and I was so scared. And you were so kind to be supportive and share your experiences with me, which was nice. We could commiserate because we're experiencing so much of the same things. And we've stayed friends to this day. We promote each other's events. We attend each other's events. We now have a podcast together.
Woo!
So
success.
And nothing's ever been we've never had to formalize anything. We've just, came at it with an abundance mindset, as they say.
The big open hearts.
Open hearts. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing, right? You're talking about competitors, but I think that even two people that have got a similar, even if they offer a similar service or a similar product and they serve a similar audience, they're still going to attract different people. But you talked, Joe, about Samsung and Apple. Like, most people are either Apple or Android, right? So they're both after the mobile phone market, or they're both in that same market, but they're not really competitors, I don't think, because I think most people would choose one or the other. So I get what you're saying, but this is where you have to think outside the box a little bit and think, how can we, make more money, or how can we add value, or whatever it is, to be able to work with our competitors. And I know that even if all three of us did the same thing, we would do it very differently.
Yeah.
We would have our own genius zone or skill set that's very different. I know Joe and I think extremely differently.
On some topics, yes.
And we're going to attract different customers. So by actually coming together, we're actually helping more people find their place.
Well, in the case of Apple and Samsung, right? So Samsung is a hardware company. They're not a software company, versus Apple is a software company. Even though they make their own hardware, that's not really their business. Their business is in the software that goes on it. So it's really two different strategies that coming at it. And yeah, you either are Apple or Android, because there really isn't any other option at this point. Windows Phone is no more, again, for like the third time in like 10 years. And Palm doesn't, Web OS isn't a thing except on like LG TVs. And yeah, you don't have an option. BlackBerry's no more. That's a form or flavor of Android. So you just do not have another choice out there.
I had an experience recently that I thought could be a potential strategic partnership, but not for me. Well, let me preface this by saying that I know that Uber and Lyft have partnerships with Toyota and GM, respectively, to lease cars to Uber drivers. Okay, so that already exists. But the experience I had recently in an Uber is I was picked up, Thor and I, my husband, were picked up by an Uber driver driving a Tesla. What's the one that's the SUV?
The X.
The X, the Tesla X. Now, I'd never ridden in this type of vehicle. It's got the wing doors, all the technology. So we get in and we're just obviously like fascinated. And the first thing he says to us is, "I'm happy to answer any questions about the car. People are curious and I love talking about it." So we started asking him all these questions, and he's like super passionate. He is selling this car. By the time 20 minutes later, I'm getting out of that car going, I need an $80,000 Tesla. I don't need an $80,000 Tesla, but he got me so jazzed for the car. And then I started thinking, wow, like this could be something where, rather than market cars to the Uber drivers, Uber and Lyft could market their cars to the actual passengers, like lend out some brand new, loaded with feature, vehicles, maybe like for a month at a time, so they don't get too road weary, and give the drivers some talking points and some buyer incentives, and then give the drivers a commission if they actually move the vehicles. I actually like that idea as a passenger, because it's kind of cool to sort of ride around in a new car and get to know it and its features without the pressure of like a car salesman situation. Plus, I'm in a nicer car as a rider. I'm not in the back of a Toyota Corolla, most uncomfortable back seats ever. Oh my God, Toyota, put some cushion in the back seat. I mean, how much could that cost? My God. Oh my God. But so I'm just dreaming up these partnerships that don't exist, but I think that would be kind of a smart one.
Well, here's a Oh, go ahead,
yes,
Sam.
awesome.
Sorry.
No, I was going to say it's awesome, and it's just perfectly showing when you think outside the box, you think about how can I get rid of problems? How can I serve the people? How easy it is to come up with situations.
Yeah. Why don't you just open that mind of yours? Things come in. I'm sorry, Joe, go ahead.
Oh, that's all right. So talking with my friend Mike, we were talking about like the why leasing a Tesla back, I don't know, a couple of years ago, the Model 3 was a lot easier, and they were more willing to like give more incentives for it. And now they're not, because they're just like, no, it sells itself. And he's like, basically the game, and I haven't read anything about this specifically, but he's like, basically the game plan is for all these Tesla Model 3s to come off lease and then convert them into driverless taxis. So like that's why they were like, we're gonna build a fleet of like basically bare-bone, like the low model Teslas, because we're just going, once they come off lease, like, you know, we're gonna have all this money that we've collected from the lease, we're gonna have the car, and instead of selling the car after the fact, we'll just, you know, rip out the steering wheel, install the newest, you know, hardware, software, and bam, we got ourselves a fleet of driverless taxis that could have a video playing in it talking about how awesome the Teslas are, that you should totally buy one. And if you don't, Tesla doesn't really care, because there's like 10 other people waiting to buy one anyway.
That's the world we're about to live in.
And then they don't have to pay commission. So it's like a partnership with themselves for another company that they will spin off inevitably.
Sorry, Uber driver, Lyft drivers out there.
Oh yeah, sorry, a lot of Amazon's delivery drivers, and
well, we don't want our world to, you know, to stay still. Otherwise, we'd still be washing in, you know, those big old coppers. So I'm okay for the world to keep moving forward, right? Dishwashers. Hello.
Dishwashers.
Should we talk about some different ways that we can do partnerships, maybe in a smaller way, to get started?
Yeah, absolutely.
People to reach out to. Is that what you're
so I have a lot of promotion partners, people that I work with, and we work together to help promote each other in different ways. So we don't do the same things all the time. We're not just there to be their launch partners to help them launch. We might promote a lead magnet to our audience one week, or we might jump into their group and do an expert interview to try and grow their Facebook group, or, you know, we might promote a lead magnet to our list or to our audience on social media. And I think that promotion partners are a really great way to get started and start to understand how, when you work together, how you can best add value to each other to achieve your outcomes. And really, that's what it's all about. You know, what is the outcome you're trying to achieve now? So what is the promotion that you're going to help each other with to achieve that outcome? And I think that promotion partners are a really great way to get started before you do a really big strategic partnership, if it doesn't come naturally to you.
Well, I just did one for Jen earlier today by sharing that the DC Podfest tickets were on sale. You're welcome.
I saw that.
Actually is getting a lot of likes.
I know, we're actually selling quite a few tickets already. I'm kind of excited.
Damn, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm so happy for you.
Yeah.
And you know, the way I see it is just more people in the Northeast, most likely, or somewhat likely, that are interested in podcasting and or want to get into podcasting. So it potentially opens up the door for more people to want to come to my conference, your conference, and anybody else in this chat room's conference that that might be open to doing one.
Well, there are a lot of passionate podcasters out there and a lot of new podcasters, and they're hungry for information. And, you know, like my dates might not work for them, or the location might not work for them, but Joe's works better. Or maybe they're going to come to both. Gosh, that would be great.
That would be great.
And a lot of people do go to both conferences.
Yep.
You know, I know a handful of people that attend both of our conferences, and they don't complain. They seem to like it. So yeah.
Maybe some of those people might want to come to Australia, and maybe there might be some sort of conference in Australia coming up. Maybe, just saying.
Maybe. I hope so. That would be great.
I hear there's no more fires down there, so it's not so bad.
Absolutely. So watch this space. Watch this space.
I can't wait to make an official announcement with you.
Oh.
Yeah, I like that. I love those promotion partners. You know, Sam, I've never formalized something like that, but I have casual. They're not even agreements. It's just kind of like my inner circle of business friends, and we sort of just support each other because we know what that means to each other, to have sort of that unsolicited support. And I'm so grateful and thankful for it every single time. They just so generously support me, and I try to return the favor. But I do like the idea of formalizing something, just just to make sure, just have something that's reliable and dependable and, something you can plan for.
I know with my promotion partners, I speak to them at the same time every week. And I think that it's almost like an accountability buddy in a way, in that we're just getting into that habit of what are you doing? How can we support each other? And not just forget about it and 6 months later see something and share it. I think that there's a lot more strategy to it, and I love strategy. I love geeking out on strategy.
Me too. And I love this because it builds relationships. It's got a very measurable and tangible ROI associated with it. And again, it's just like, once you start thinking like that, you'll be amazed how quickly your business can grow if you start reaching out and seeking out these really amazing partnerships. So exciting.
Yeah. Yeah. And think outside the box of just trying to grow each other's email list. I think that a lot of people think when they're doing a strategic partnership, it's to grow an email list. Yeah. But if you don't ask your partner, what is it that you're challenged by and how can I add value, you won't ever know how you can best add value. So always go into a strategic partnership with an open mind, because sometimes you'll be surprised. I've walked into partnerships thinking I'd be quite willing to do these big things, and they say, I've just got this small problem. If you can solve this, then this would be great. And done partnerships that were way easier than I thought, but by listening, asking and listening.
I love that. And I love what you said. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Joe.
No, you go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I love what you said about how, it's not about building your email list. Because again, the focus is not in the right place. Think about your customers or potential customers. They don't care that you're growing your email list. How is that? Who are you benefiting other than yourself? It can't just be all about you. It's got to be about the end user, the end customer, ultimately. I mean, I always feel very strongly about that. Think of them first before yourself. Everybody should win. But if you go in the direction of your customer first, and then, and then circle into you and your partner.
I mean, looking at the goals that you're trying to accomplish. And so one of the great things that Amazon did, or they didn't even do it, it's actually a partnership with Kohl's here. I don't know if you guys have Kohl's down in Australia.
Yeah.
Oh, you do? So you can do free Amazon returns for the most part to Kohl's, so you don't have to ship the things back. They will do the shipping for you. And part of that idea was that Kohl's threw out the idea of okay, let's not use a performance KPI, key performance indicator of revenue. Let's look at it from a standpoint of foot traffic. How do we get people to just come to our store? And by throwing that out and saying, okay, let's look at partnering up with Amazon and doing all the returns. So everything is on Kohl's side. They're paying for the person to bag the thing up, do the shipping, print the thing, print the label. And they're even giving you a coupon for 25% off, and now even 35% off, an additional 35% off if you open up a Kohl's credit card right there on the spot. So, or actually not on the spot, you have 7 days to use that. So the idea is that okay, so we're going to look at not how much revenue, but how many, feet we can get through the door, how many buys we can get through the door. So, and by doing that, they have accomplished that goal tenfold. I mean, I return things all the time to Amazon, and it's worlds easier because Kohl's is on my way back.
Well, that's the key.
Home.
I think the first thought was, how can we make it easier for our customer? It's all in trying to make it easier for that customer to return things. And it just so happens the byproduct is there's more foot traffic.
Yes.
Right. So I agree, because I had the Amazon, if you've ever done Amazon returns, they have done multiple things to make it easier. In fact, I had a couple of returns over the holidays, and I just had to bring the item to a UPS store, with the I just had to print out whatever they sent me, and I didn't have to package it up. I didn't have to put it in an envelope. I literally just handed it to the UPS employee. There was no conversation needed. It took 2 seconds. It was so easy. And I thought this is amazing that they have streamlined the operations this way, so that I'm more likely to shop again at Amazon, because the whole process from beginning to end is so convenient.
Yeah, nice. Definite win-win.
Yes, win, win, win.
Well, yeah, but I mean, Amazon's not paying a dime for it, so they're it's just for the convenience of their customer base.
Yeah.
But it goes back to what Jen was saying. It's about how can we
About the
create
customer.
these win-win-wins, and I think that's a perfect example.
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. It is a win-win-win. But it's at the cost of Kohl's, staying alive through the process of affording to be able to, handle these returns.
So I think that my takeaway from that is that as small business owners, we should be doing strategic partnerships to be able to compete in this world of the giants like Amazon and come together and not think of each other as competitors, but to come together to create these amazing experiences for our future customers and clients.
Yes.
Couldn't have said it better, Sam.
And
Perfect.
that leads us right into our one of our news articles for this week, which involves Nintendo, which apparently both of you were like, "Oh, gaming! Like, what is this? I can't believe this. Why would Joe do this?" Well, other than the fact that this is the Business Geeks, and the geeks is in the name, So I found this article and I wanted to share it about Nintendo's customer service replaced an original Game Boy for a 95-year-old. I think it was a lady.
It was.
Yeah, a woman. Yeah. So that is insane because they have not made, and Brent's on board with Nintendo. So they have not made the Game Boy. It just says in some time. I'm not sure when the official, they stopped making one, because if you looked at Sony Walkman, they were still making them up until just 5 years ago or 6 years ago, something like that.
I think it was a lot longer, if I can remember in the article, maybe 2003. Is that right?
They were still making. Well, they might have still been making Game Boys at that point, but they probably weren't original Game Boys. They were probably Game Boy Colors or one of the other flavors, newer flavors of Game Boys. But they were able to find one and replaced it, all because of the what was it, the grandson or something was oh, they have godlike support, and they just wrote a letter.
Yeah, it was a 95-year-old grandmother. That this is a Japanese family, and in Japanese, words have different meanings. Yeah. And the 70-year-old daughter of the 95-year-old grandmother had said to her that Nintendo has godlike support or divine-like support, and the other meaning for that word in Japanese is paper. So the grandmother thought, "I'll write a letter."
Yep.
And a week later, Nintendo had gone into the bowels and the depths of their space to find one of these original Game Boys and sent it to her with a beautiful letter about wishing her a long life. And I just think that is absolutely brilliant customer service.
I mean,
and we're talking about it.
Yeah, we're talking about it. They've had articles written about it. And can I just say that I love that her game was Tetris.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, she was going hard on Tetris. I think she spent decades playing Tetris. I mean, I want to know what her score is. How good are you, Granny? Great. I mean, come on. And is there any science backing up that Tetris, extends your lifespan?
Absolutely.
I mean, is she in a blue zone, and is Tetris part of it?
Now, I believe she has passed away now, but I think that
I'm not supposed to say that.
Yeah, lived to 99 and remained in control of mental facilities up until the end.
But for the last
4
years of her life,
yeah,
she had this original Game Boy sent to her, and I think that,
do you think the daughter put the Game Boy on eBay and made a fortune after she passed away? Because it was only 4 years old.
It was probably with the box. If they, I'm sure they kept the box. I mean, I would at that point.
Would you? Would you put on? You would put on eBay, Joe? You'd sell it?
It'd have to be worth a lot. It'd have to be worth enough.
I hope they buried it with her.
Yeah.
That's a good. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that we're talking about this because that is absolutely brilliant customer service, and big thumbs up to Nintendo on this one.
I'm so impressed. I'm so impressed with them.
Well, I'm glad you were happy with the article that I just threw in there.
Absolutely, because the two of us kind of went, "Oh, gaming, really?"
Well, and I don't think geeking is like, Joe, are you saying that because it's the podcast Geeks that gaming is, it has to be like geeking is associated with gaming? I mean, I know it is.
It can be. It
but
doesn't have to
be. Okay.
No,
exactly.
No,
but we're the business geeks, not the gaming geeks. Like,
right.
I'm sorry.
That's a
I will
different
find
show.
more business-related business-related gaming articles because there are plenty of them, like NVIDIA.
Yeah, that was a good one. I loved it.
Yeah, really good one, Joe. Well done.
Good. Thank you. So, what's grinding everybody's gears this week? Jen, do you want to?
Jen has to start this. It's almost like sponsored by Sparent, I reckon. This episode.
I'm not doing any favors to our brand. I think I'm just making Sparent sound really cranky. Do you seriously you don't have a grind your gears this week again?
No, because I didn't, because I saw you two did, and we've got to make sure we finish in an hour. So I thought I'll step out this week.
Okay, I've got one, but let me just say this. This is a very risky one for me because I have friends and business people that I respect who will just disagree with me, and they may even think that I like what I'm about to say I don't like.
No, I know what you're about to talk about, and I'm going to put up my hand and say, you and I don't agree on this one.
Okay, that's
please,
fine.
Jen, go ahead.
I'm sure that
breakthrough.
This is not the first or the last time, but what grinds my gears, and I'm sorry, friends who believe in this, vision boards. I hate vision boards. I don't believe in them. I don't think they're helpful. I think it's a waste of time. I think it's putting off action. But it's literally taking a glue stick and putting a picture of a Ferrari on a piece of cardboard. It's not working. And there's science that backs me up. Okay. A 2011 study published in the Journal of Experimental Social Psychology found that fantasizing about an idealized future actually decreases the likelihood that someone will expend the energy to turn that fantasy into a reality. Okay, so positive thinking only works when it's combined with positive action. So if you put that Lamborghini on your vision board, your brain has a reaction as if you've already have the Lamborghini. So you'll experience a relaxation response, but that reduces your energy and decreases your motivation to take action. Put the glue sticks away.
And this is where we don't agree, because I'm going to jump in because I'm so the opposite of this.
Oh my God. I think this might be the first time that Sam and I really drastically disagree.
Right, just on the calendar.
Okay, well, Brent wants to know what a vision board is. I should not have assumed that people know. Okay. So vision, go ahead, define the vision board.
This is your gear, Jen. You go for it.
Okay. A vision board is like a board. And then typically when I've seen it done, it's like they spread a bunch of magazines out on the table. You take scissors, you cut out pictures that represent your goals, your desires, your ideal lifestyle, how you want your life to look like. And then you cut out those pictures and you put your glue stick on the back and you stick them on a board. And that's supposed to serve as inspiration, motivation. Science says it doesn't work. I just proved that. To get your idealized life. I say, I want to see somebody's vision board with a Ferrari, a yacht, a beach, a laptop. I want to see that, a kitty with a pearl necklace. I want to see that vision board come to life. Prove me wrong.
Well, that is me. So I think that vision boards are fantastic for her. And Brent said it beautifully. Isn't it a great brainstorming tool? It absolutely is. Helps you get very clear on what it is that you want. But the only thing I agree with is we don't just put a picture on the wall and leave it there. The vision board serves as a reminder of this is where we're heading, so we know the actions to take along the way. I'm a bit if I didn't have my vision board, I wouldn't be living the life I'm living, because I got very clear on what it is I wanted. I knew exactly what I wanted my house to look like. I knew exactly what I wanted my car to be. And all of the things that have been on my vision board, I have made happen. So I really, really, really love vision boards. However, can I put the caveat? You must take action. You can't lie under a tree and dream of a Ferrari. It's not just going to come. But
okay, well,
I'm a big believer.
Everybody's agreeing with you. Okay, Eric, Brent, Eric. Like, I'm sorry, but no, like, it's just dreaming without doing. Okay, Sam is different. She's a different animal. She's not going to do a vision board without the action board attached to it. She's got a plan associated with it. Most people that I know do vision boards, it is just like, you know, fantasy land.
Yeah, not fantasy land.
Eric's like, the vision should be reachable. Yeah.
No, reach big.
Dream big. And I've read Napoleon Hill's book. Thank you very much. I read a lot. He, you know,
we've gone down a rabbit hole.
You know what? I'm not looking for people to agree with me.
It's all good. It's all good. And Jen, I would still love to be your friend if you have me. I'll put you on my vision board.
Friends forever. We're friends forever. Friends forever. And you've made a vision board happen, which I bet that happens less than 1% of the time.
Probably.
Less than 0.01% of the time. I'm just saying,
probably.
Rather than stick some pictures on a board, why don't you walk out your door and do something to make your dreams happen?
So
nice.
I see I'm somewhere in between, because like I just
That's
like
a safe space.
I like to make lists. So like I'm not, and my lists don't necessarily include, well, definitely don't include Ferraris and things like that, because I'm not paying $10,000 for an oil change or oil at all now because I got an electric car. Woo! Yeah. But I think, well, that's not true. We had the minivan that's got oil, but I think that there is a middle ground there as far as figuring out what it is that you want your life to look like, and making those lists. I mean, I wouldn't go and buy a bunch of magazines or print out a bunch of pictures and then stick them to a board. That's just not how I operate. But I think it is important to get clear and make those lists of like what you want your life to look like, and how, and then figure out like, okay, how can I make that happen? Because the idea of like, okay, if I could rent a Ferrari. I actually would see myself doing that before spending the money to buy one, but
okay,
unless I was in the collecting, and then I think it's a perfectly healthy habit to have.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's just extreme. And Brent wants me to try building software without a whiteboard. I'm not talking about whiteboards. I'm talking about vision boards. I'm not talking about mapping out an action plan. Brent. And Brent's like, we're business geeks, WWE style.
I love it.
Oh my gosh. I'm not talking about a whiteboard.
I think it's a great conversation. I think it's great to see other perspectives.
Now I've made him feel bad. Now he's apologizing.
You're
forgiven, Brent. You're forgiven.
It's safe enough space. You don't have to apologize for having an opinion here.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. I'm sorry. I'm sweating again because I always sweat when I do my grinding the gears because I get so worked up.
I'm going to put my grinding the gears off till next week. So next week, so we can get to our one cool things, because we each have one this week.
Yes, we do.
I definitely want to talk about mine, because I just started watching this show called McMillions, which is all about how there was the McDonald's and the Monopoly. It kind of goes synonymous. Well, apparently somebody was scamming the system. Every single like millionaire winner was related to each other in some way, shape, or form. Yeah.
Whoa.
So, this is on HBO. Apparently, Mark Wahlberg is one of the executive producers of this like 6-part documentary. I just started watching it. It's on the HBO. And it's like they got FBI people. Like it's this whole.
That's a serious crime.
Web.
I haven't heard about this. I figured that would be big news.
Well, there's a reason there hasn't been one since I think 2001 was the last one, and they conducted it. And it's a little bit of a spoiler. I've only watched the first episode, but they conducted the 2001 one, knowing that there was somebody scamming it, but they didn't know who, and they basically set up a sting to find out who who is it? And I don't know because not even all the episodes are out yet. Only like the first 4 episodes of, I believe, 6 are out. So it's called McMillions. It definitely is very interesting. The lead FBI guy in it is hilarious. He's like super down to earth, like wacky, crazy guy who's like, because he was like 20 some years old when this was all happening. Now he looks like he's in like maybe late 40s, but he's just he's like the cop you would expect on like the TV show, the TV show cop, not like I'm an FBI agent and like got black suit, black tie, and it's just like they're like, oh, we had this meeting with McDonald's, and Dave is walking in with a gold suit with a white shirt on, like gold top to bottom, had a whole gold, like, crazy guy. So super interesting. And check it out. I can't wait to watch the rest of it and find out
awesome.
What the heck happened to my Monopoly McDonald's.
So hang on, are you saying that you don't have Monopoly McDonald's in the US anymore?
Not since apparently 2000.
Not since we ruined it, apparently.
2003.
Oh, wow. Well, we must be better down under because we still have it every year.
Okay. Well, that's cool.
Wow. What's your one cool thing, Sam?
So my one cool thing is not very geeky, but hopefully this makes you all want to come to Australia. I'm in Adelaide at the moment, which is this little tiny city down right in the south of Australia. And during March, like the end of February, early March, so the weather's still fantastic down here because we're coming off the back of our summer, we have an event called the Adelaide Fringe Festival. I say we like I own it. Even though I live in Sydney, I don't own it. However, this is the reason that Leon and I have spent the month in Adelaide, because this festival is fantastic. It's got thousands and thousands of acts over the course of the month, from comedy shows to, like dance and cabaret and all sorts of different shows. There's literally thousands of them all around the city, constantly running every day and every night. There's certain acts shows for children and adults. And they've got, in the middle of the city, they've turned one of the parklands into a big festival garden called the Garden of Unearthly Delights. And you go in there and they have these tents set up like old school, circus, and you can go and pay $5 and watch these like really crazy, kooky shows, and you can go and get food and drink, and it's like lights everywhere. So you have to come to Adelaide one year in February and March and come to the Adelaide Fringe Festival.
That sounds amazing and totally something that I would love. I love live entertainment. I love plays. I love musicals. If you love
people watching, Jen, you will love it.
I do.
Yeah, it's very, very quirky and cool.
Wow. If only it were closer.
That's okay.
We had closer.
There's these things that we invented somewhere along the way called planes. You can get in them.
Hold on. I think we invented them.
I don't know who invented them, but they're crazy.
Someone that wasn't me invented planes. You can fly here.
They are crazy. Crazy. My one cool thing is a Chrome extension that I use it all the time. It's called Colorzilla. And you are going to use this a lot if you're like me and you're constantly creating images and you want them to be consistent and you don't know what color. It has a little eyedropper, so you can, click on any image and it'll bring up the hex code and the RBG, and automatically save it to your clipboard. So then you can just paste that into Canva, because that's, I think, what most people are using these days to create images, and then get the exact same color matches. So for me, I use this like for my event images, or if we have to create an image for a client, we want to match a color from their brand or from other images, then it's just a super easy way to do it. And it saves your picked color history also. So it's just like a quick reference. So you can see all of the colors you've used in the past and like quickly grab them. It has some other, bells and whistles too, but I love it. I thought it qualified for one cool thing, because I was trying to think of things that I use all the time that I take for granted, that are wonderful, and it's free. And I'm so glad that it's there on a daily basis.
want to say one thing, because this is my all-time favorite Chrome extension.
It is?
Oh my goodness, I use this so much. However, upgraded my Mac at the end of last year, upgraded my new operating system, and now every time I download Colorzilla, it completely overrides all of my settings, and like I have all these weird browsers opening up, and I forgot. And yesterday I downloaded Colorzilla again because I was doing a project, and now it's all crazy again. So I don't know if it's specifically I've got some sort of virus Trojan, I don't know, or if it's the app on this operating system, but just be a little bit aware. It could take over your computer.
See, it's the advantage of having an old Mac Mini on my desk.
It is the best Chrome extension ever. I love this one.
Oh, I love it so much.
It sounds better than the one that I use, which is the Color Picker Eyedropper, or Color Pick Eyedropper extension.
It sounds very similar.
I know, but Colorzilla sounds so much better because it sounds so much more robust.
Oh, I agree. It does. I do like the Colorzilla name. I mean, this has 900,000 plus users, and basically all it does is it puts like a thing up there, and you can just click on it, and then you just highlight over anything in it, like this. If I just refresh and pick it, color picker, boom. Like any color, it shows you. I click on it, and I can just copy right from there. Now, I don't think it's as robust as Colorzilla, where you were saying like you could save colors and things of that nature. But if you're having an issue with Colorzilla, there's another option out there that is also free.
I haven't compared it to others. I've been happy with this one so far. So, well, I think that concludes our show. Am I right?
Yeah, I think that does wrap up Business Geeks Podcast WWE edition. And I want to give a special shout out to Eric and Brent.
Yes.
Thank you so much for the feedback and for coming and hanging out, everybody. We are live every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. Does Eastern Standard Time, or I don't know what's Australian Eastern Time?
Wednesday, 12 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time.
Yes, and if you want to get any of the podcast past episodes, you can go to businessgeekspodcast.com and get all the past episodes. Subscribe to the podcast and Apple Podcast. I don't know, all the podcast places.
All the podcast places.
Probably, most likely, all the podcast places that you will probably try to go to. Everybody, I hope you all have a great week, and yeah, we'll be back next week. We don't have a topic yet for next week, do we?
Not yet,
we
but
do not.
We will.
And then pick that out now. All right, everybody, have a great week. And talk to you next Tuesday.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.